Alright, I'm going to try an experiment. I hope that it comes out correctly. It could come out totally 45 degrees differently. Just trying to capture the screen better. Okay, so this is like continuation of my last thing about the Hyperborea and how there's all tribes in all nations. So I want to give an example of the risk game and how at the beginning of the risk game everybody is putting down their pieces, different colors, in every different continent, and within the beginning, all the different tribes are everywhere, and that's what we've been noticing. We're noticing white tribes in Africa. We're noticing that what we consider African Americans were already here in North America the whole time. Our history is conflated to basically make racial division a huge issue, and that only helps the powerful elite. So I just wanted to show a risk board, and then as time goes, different tribes win wars, and so now as the risk game is played, then it'll be more of one tribe in Africa and one tribe in North America and one tribe in Europe. And so let me see if I can find a better picture of what that ends up looking like. Yeah, bingo. So then all the blue guys are in Europe, and all the brown guys are in Africa, and all the green guys are in South America, you know? And so now we're later in the risk game, and so it looks like it wasn't how it was originally, where it's just, you know, the African slave trade and all this stuff, when everybody was already here. It was already all the tribes were already here, and that's the lie. That's the big crazy thing that people don't understand. I'm not saying no slave trade happened. I'm sure it did. I mean, my last name means slave. It's Italian, but it means slave. So all tribes have been slaves. Irish and Italians were slaves in America too. You know, it just is what it is. And so when we take what the elite history books are telling us in our education classes, it just causes division, and it causes the inability for people to talk and to listen to each other about their experiences. And as soon as people mention the Irish and Italians were slaves at one point, oh, no, it wasn't the same. It wasn't chattel slavery. No, it's like, come on. Are you kidding me? Actually, it was worse on some levels because, you know, it just is what it is. I even said it just based off the terms. The black slaves are better workers. They're stronger. Said they were worth more. They were treated better. It just is what it is. Okay, now that I got that point off, that was what I wanted to start with, just because it was a continuation of my last video, Hyperborea, and how everybody came down from the center, not out of Africa theory or out of Sumer Babylon theory. All that stuff is wrong. I'm not a theosophist. I don't agree with their Luciferian doctrines, but I do believe that Hyperborea was 4 continents. You're not going to see that on a risk board, but let's see if I can find a better map. Well, if you've watched my previous videos, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, these 4. So I believe that this was more what Eden is, and that's how everybody can multiply and spread. You know, some people are going to come down to the Vikings, going to come down this way, and then everybody was already in North America already. Everybody was already over in what's actually called Tartaria, and I actually think Tartaria was not what people are saying. I think Atlantis came first, and then after the big flood, and Tartaria was the remnants. That's why you see so many of the same buildings in all the different continents. A lot of it looks like, what's it called, Victorian or like Greco-Roman, Masonic. All that stuff, I think, was Atlantean, like built from Atlantis, and like many people have kind of come to the conclusion that what we call Egyptians were just living next to the buildings that were already built. I think that's actually true of the whole place, this whole realm, if you will. I think everybody's basically, and not that new buildings aren't made, but just like what was really surprising was this guy made a video on what was converted into prisons of my old city, Philadelphia, and it was crazy. There was like 4 ginormous, old, beautiful buildings, and they turned them into prisons. That video is great. I'm going to try to link that, actually. Yeah, I mean, look at this stuff. This is crazy, too. And there is 4 of them. There's 4 that are all within 10 miles of each other. So, you know, we're really going to believe that they built all this for prisoners in, 1800s? Are we kidding ourselves? You know, this stuff was already here. This stuff was all already here. Okay, now what else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, okay. The new thing going around is all this like Hebrew Israelites, black Hebrew Israelites. Okay, it just doesn't make any sense. Like the first convert of the apostles in Acts was an Ethiopian eunuch centurion, and oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. That's another thing I want to talk about. Yeah, so what was so fascinating is that it's obvious that he was a Gentile, that the quote-unquote Jews would have considered him a Gentile. So that's why it was a big deal that he was the first to be converted to Christian. Well, Christianity is not a bit. That's a horrible term. That whole faith is false. It's not anything to do with the Bible at this point. Not Protestantism, not Catholicism. They're all bad. I couldn't believe it. I just recently learned that Martin Luther was Venetian money. Venetian money funded Martin Luther to make it look like England was separating from Rome, which was not true. And then the next great division was to pretend during the American Revolution that America is separate from England. But if you look at Washington, D.C., the city of London, and the city of Rome, they all have the obelisks, or an abomination to the Lord. Okay, so yeah, a lot of this inverted racism is happening. Not even just the Hebrew Israelites, but talking about how white people are from Esau, and that doesn't make any sense either from what I gathered, because Ashkenaz was from Japheth, and most people obviously realize that the Ashkenazi are the modern day Israelis, and so that doesn't make any sense if people think that all white people came from Esau. That doesn't make any sense. And the reason why they say that is because Esau came out ruddy. That's why I had the wrong thing up. Ruddy. Technically, Adam can mean ruddy. And so a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that the Bible is actually talking about the creation of the white race, the people that blush, the people that burn under the sun, a whole different creation. And if you look at it, it's Elohim, it's plural. So it's potentially that the white race was literally created by the fallen angels and not the original source, not the original creation of the terrarium that we live in. Because it's Elohim, it's plural. We will make them in our image. So a lot of the new age people will say that's aliens, and all humans were made by aliens. No, that's false doctrine. That's a lie. Zechariah Sitchin has been proven to be a liar. He didn't know any Sumerian at all. He just made it up. He just was funded to make it look like he was going to go over there and learn all this cuneiform or whatever, and it's all lies. It's all lies. It's all new age. It's all like Stephen Greer and aliens, and no, these were fallen angels. These people are in Tartarus right now, and that was the reason for the flood in the first place. It got so bad, so much genetic engineering, hybridation, chimera, half man, half animals, and so even from Genesis, it talks about how Eve was beguiled, and there was 2 different seeds. So I think that half of the white people are good, just human, and half are the seed of Cain, and that's why a lot of wrath is thrown at all white people when it's really not all of us. It's only maybe less than half. I would hope less than half, because they've done studies on psychopathic behavior, and there's psychopathic behavior in all man, because at this point we've all mixed a lot, and it doesn't matter. Even if your outward coloring of your skin shows that you look like one thing, we're all a huge mix. All you have to go back is more than 10 generations, and you'll find pretty much something different, something unique in all of our bloodline DNA. Okay, so you can take that for what you want. Ruddy has come up multiple times, so maybe they are right that we're Esau or whatever, but then you have to extrapolate that to the whole thing, and the whole thing just being a different creation, a whole different race that was created by the fallen angels themselves, not God. And it just is what it is. I mean, that's kind of what I've been coming to, my conclusions. Not that all white people are bad. It's just that's not true either, but it is what it is. Okay, so now we have that. And I talked about how I think that a lot of the slave trade talk is lies. I think quote-unquote black people were already here. I think the Native American don't exist. I think that is a whole, another thing to have I think the parasites like having white people be the fall guys and the demons, and having the Jews the bad guys, when it's not all of it. It's maybe 5% of it. If anybody is a psychopath, any race, any background, anybody can be a psychopath. But it seems like having race relations at the most just helps the elite. And so having a gigantic genocide of Native Americans, when obviously the South American people are still here and obviously blacks are still here, would lead to the conclusion that it doesn't, that whole thing is just lies, especially now that I'm learning about Tartaria and the Tartarian Empire wasn't just what we call Russia. It was actually basically almost all of the North, not all of Europe, but some of Europe, all of North Asia, and all of Canada, and the north half of what we call the United States. I think was all Tartaria. And I've seen giants in pictures as recently as the 1920s. So I don't think all these giants were wiped out either. Genesis 6. The film, not only do I think that the fallen angels created a race of quote-unquote white people, but they also intermingled with us sexually somehow. And then, like the liger, those humanoids don't stop growing. They eventually became cannibalistic and sacrificial. That's why all human cultures have remnants of human sacrifice. Moloch, the star of Remphan, Moloch, is on the Israeli flag, which is absolutely insane. It's got nothing to do with David in the Bible. It's got nothing to do with him. It's the star of Remphan. If you read the Talmud, these people tell you how they feel about the Bible and Jesus, and I mean, a lot of their work is mockery. They just mock the Bible, the Old Testament, the stories in it. So we also have a huge rush to accepting abortions, huge rush to accepting homosexuality, the Baphomet, the androgen demon god of the Knights Templar is still a huge part of the Luciferian religion. They're putting atrazine in the water, which is causing increased homosexuality, increased gender dysphoria. If you listen to basically any 60-year-old transgendered person, they all are absolutely just in horror of what they did to themselves, and are some of the best speakers on the anti-transgender agenda. That is the precursor to transhumanism, the mixing of iron and clay. The Bible specifically talks about there's people that will upload their consciousness into the machines, will pray for death, and death will not come. So all this stuff is connected. The Knights Templar, Freemasonry, black magic, sorcery. Sorcery is also pharmakia, like the pharmaceutical companies are huge. Almost all of the new pills have a side effect of death. It's all based off of the craft. The craft is like witchcraft, but the Freemasonry rituals are all the same. It's all the same. All the witches and Freemasons that have been honest and open about it have all said that the rituals are all the same. The goals are all the same. The rites of Freemasonry is basically to like obfuscate your initial faith and slowly but surely increase the amount of Luciferianism that you believe and get you to worship the wrong guy. You know, like a lot of these Gnostics think that Lucifer is the good guy, think that he awoke in our knowledge and helped us to become like gods, but in the end, all we did was become flesh and die and have to go through birth pangs. That's why human birth is so difficult. You see animals that give birth to creatures that are way bigger than us, like no problem. But human birth seems to be almost 10 times more painful because of the disobedience of man and the fall of man. I was reading Enoch 2. I'd already read Enoch 2, and it was talking about how Lucifer fell prior to man even being made. So I thought that was interesting. You can read about the fall in Isaiah. O Lucifer, how you've fallen like lightning from the heavens. Enoch extrapolates that a little bit further. And it's interesting how like the more powerful the information, the more demonized it is. Like, oh, don't read Enoch. Oh, but if you read Enoch, definitely don't read Enoch 2. I haven't read Enoch 3 yet, so I can't speak for it. But Enoch 2 was almost as good as Enoch 1. I gained even more from it. about the gates and how the sun actually totally disappears for 7 hours. I thought that was interesting. And the moon travels slightly faster than the sun. I already knew that, like just in my own mind, but it was cool to see it on paper. And it's really not that much faster, but it's like the sun takes 365.25 days, and the moon takes 134 days. Okay, what else am I trying to show? Oh, yeah. Okay. This is fascinating subject. Almost everybody knows about chemtrails now. That's in the truther movement. But what they don't know is that this is black magic. This isn't even like, I mean, there's a physical component to it, obviously. There always is. And yes, it's BAAL, ball, yeah. People have shown that. Barium and aluminum, strontium and stuff. So there's a physical component to it, but you can spiritually fight this stuff because these orbs are high demonic forces, and then the spray is like lesser demonic forces, and you can pray against this stuff. In the name of Jesus, you can pray against this stuff, and it will go away. As seen once the first prayer is done, the holographic plane disappears, and that's why you see the orb. You see the demonic orb when people pray against this stuff, and the plane disappears. And then if you continue, and we need to like be in groups because this stuff is powerful. Like these black magicians, they are literally doing spells on our TV, on our Super Bowls, in music videos. I mean, they are nonstop. It's nonstop. Demonic forces are nonstop throwing this stuff in our faces. And the Christians, a lot of them are lukewarm. They don't even fight back. So, like, this website, chemtrailsardemonic.org, talks about the strengths and how, God is obviously the strongest, and a Christian that fights through spiritual warfare is second. But a Christian that is like lukewarm is one of the weakest. It's below all the witches. It's below all the black magicians, all the occultists, all those demons. It's below them because it's lukewarm. It's not. It doesn't even fight back. It's like it might as well just take it. And that's insane, because if you know all this stuff and you know that we're in a fight for our lives, how could you not want to fight this stuff? Another cool thing, just as I'm talking about Jesus, he was able to speak to everybody in their own languages. So all these like sacred name people, that's a cult. That's a new cult that's going around. Like you have to say Yeshua. Oh, you have to say Yahushua. Messiah. No, I mean, the Bible itself says that Jesus and the apostles were speaking, and everybody was able to hear them in their own language. Acts 2. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the houses where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues as of fire, and sat upon each of them. And they were all filled up with the Holy Ghost, and began to speak with other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? How are we, and every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born, hearing? And then it just lists off all the people that were there, from the Parthians to the people in Asia and Pontus and Libya and Phrygia, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. And they were all amazed, and were in doubt, saying to one another, What meaneth this? And, of course, you shall know them by their mocking tone. That's just me saying that. But others mocked, saying, These men are full of new wine, because there's always doubters. Doesn't matter what happens. Okay, so spiritual warfare, guys. just is what it is. If you don't fight back, they are free to do whatever they want to us, including spraying us with freaking chemicals. Okay, and then another scary thing is this 5G stuff, and a lot of the Trump fans are saying that he wants to do good 5G, and like I mean, there's part of me that knows that maybe you can change the frequencies to more harmful and less harmful, and I understand that. I've seen cymatics, I've seen the change in frequency change matter, so I'm sure that there's healthy frequencies and unhealthy frequencies. And this guy Serial Brain 2 or whatever did like a whole gematria rundown of Trump's tweets and how he was saying, the wall is deeper than just a physical barrier. It was also the physical representation of the fight against globalism, the fight against the EU of America, and how they were trying to create an entire 5G network that was negative frequencies, but Trump is fighting that, and he's going to do good frequencies. And I don't know, I mean, I hope like I want to believe that Trump's trying. I do, because I've seen him do some good things. And the traffickers, the child traffickers are going down left and right. They just outed Kraft, and Kraft was a Trump fan. Brady and Belichick, they are open Trump supporters. So, the fact that Kraft was in trouble recently was interesting. I mean, that's potentially showing that, if you're bad, you're going to go down finally. And they reopened Jeffrey Epstein's thing, and that's good, because that dude was totally, him and the Playboy Mansion guy, Hugh Hefner, yeah, that's what their whole thing was. They would get blackmail things on film so they can blackmail people and compromise them. And I think Trump's compromised, but I hope that there's enough people behind him that are like forcing him to do right. And that's like the whole Q thing, and how they wanted Trump to run and win. And I saw the Cohen the Cohen thing about how Trump didn't think he was going to win, and did this Russian deal for hundreds of millions of dollars, and now they're trying to like continue the impeachment thing. I don't know. I mean, as far as Q goes, I don't know. I think it's a little hopey, but the things that they attack Trump on seem desperate. They really do, and so that at least gives me a little bit of hope that maybe really they are starting to feel that they're losing. Even Soros, Mr. Open Borders himself, was talking about how, the open borders globalism is not working in its current form. So that was a pretty big comment from him. I was actually kind of happy about that, because he is like one of the biggest demons there is, and he's been working against all of us his whole life. He literally kills his own people and steals from his own people to become a billionaire just to screw everybody. God, these people are sick. Okay, just want to say one more thing about the 5G frequency, the negative one. Basically, it's microwave, and if you know what microwave does, it like vibrates the water, and then high vibrating water heats up, and that's what heats up your food. So if you think about it, humans are 70% water, and between the skin layers, there's like sweat glands. And so if this thing really, if it's as bad as I think it is, they are already microwaving people at the TSA. All them scanners are microwaves, and a lot of the TSA agents are already coming down with cancers and sicknesses that I think are absolutely related to that scanner machine being on nonstop. And what's different about the 5G is it's one, closer to all the houses, closer to all the schools. The waves are millimeter waves, so they're even more capable of like going through you. And like I said, yeah, if it's gonna if we know what microwaves do already, and so if they're gonna like cook us inside and out, and these things never turn off. They never turn off. They're just constantly radiating us. So I'm a little nervous about the old 5G. See what happens. Okay, anything else on my agenda here? Oh, yeah. Okay, just real quick. YouTube. I learned about YouTube and Mark Collins Rector. I mean, the guy's a freaking pedophile, man. So the creator of YouTube, before Google bought it, and I mean, geez, Google, like, their parent company's name, Alphabet. So YouTube was created by a known pedophile and then sold it to Google. It's just crazy. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff about the NIV Bible on Facebook. We got to be careful, guys. The NIV is just horrible. Almost everything that I've seen shared by the NIV is just Luciferian, man. You know, trying to make it out to be something that it's not, saying what it's not. I'm not saying the King James is perfect, but it's just so much better. And so many of the deceivers are posting the NIV all over as a way to demonize the Bible so that people don't look into it for themselves. I mean, one of the greatest things I ever did, I used to be very anti-Christ spirit, you know, thinking it was crazy to believe in Jesus. And, well, what happens to the people that die that don't know about Jesus, or the people before? And the Bible explains all that stuff. And you got to read it for yourself. You know, once I finally just decided to read it for myself, that's when I really gained a lot. The Bible just has so much like knowledge and wisdom and stories to learn from about how to live your life and what the better paths are for you to live. It's just a great thing to read for yourself. Don't listen to other people's and pastors and anybody that just gives their opinion on it and tries to break it down, because when they give you their bias, it's just not the way that your Holy Ghost needs to hear it. It needs to speak it to you. So if you don't read it for yourself, you're just getting everybody's biases, and it just leads to confusion. Okay, I'm at 32 minutes, so I think I'm gonna stop for now. I missed half of my page, but the second half of my page was more notes from my research, because I was going to do this video a couple days ago. So I'd rather just stop now and get organized again and do another video. All right, thank you guys.